Let's talk about Bruno. No, no, no. We should talk about Bruno. Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel. So if you don't know what the reference is in the intro, it's to the character Bruno and the song We Don't Talk About Bruno from the movie Encanto, which came out, I believe, last November. And that song has been like #1 on charts for months, I think now. But I thought it was a wonderful example to bring up this point about psychic readings, psychic visions, things that may come up in a tarot reading or when someone has their astrology read. And that is to not overly focus on anything negative that might come up. So in the movie Encanto, and in that song, characters say, oh, Bruno said this and this happened. And he said, like, my fish would die and my fish died and I would lose my hair and I lost my hair. You can Google it on YouTube if you haven't heard or seen the scene from the song. And the focus was really on the negative, and everyone, became afraid of Bruno and his visions. And that's a big reason why he hid away. I won't give away too many details about the movie in case you haven't seen it. But people feared it because they only saw these negative things happening because he said it. And it's not that Bruno had the power and made these things happen, which is throughout history a common misconception for people with psychic insights and vision, psychic abilities, etc., that they are actually making the things happen. No, they're just seeing a possibility of the future. And I say it that way, and I've said this in so many videos, especially in like my astrology study videos or astrology videos. I've said so many times over the years. I've had my channel for 9 years now. Crazy. That the future is not set in stone. There are a few things that are like, oh, it's probably going to happen. We still have power, free will, and how we respond, react, or maybe prepare, depending on what it is. But it's not all set in stone. It's a number of probabilities within a realm of possibilities. And our choices, our free will, how we choose to respond and react, etc., can shift the energy of a future outcome, event, whatever might come up in a reading, right? When it comes to the past, looking into the past and looking into something that's present, that's different when it comes to psychic insights or psychic visions. Even again, through tarot cards can be a tool to look into that, astrology and other means, right? Those are things that are done, right? The past and the present, things are happening now. So the stuff that's happened, yeah, you can't change that, but you can alter things in the present by understanding the energies that are sort of like the grid work that is being formed for future events. And by shifting an attitude, making a decision, it doesn't have to be anything huge, and it's often in our minds. We say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to change this about myself and my life. That shifts that future grid work that's already being built. And it alters the future in some ways. That future grid work is often altered subtly, but it can be altered in a completely different way within the realm of probabilities in your sphere of possibilities for a given lifetime. So I just want to bring that up. And as I was thinking of this, it's like we need to face our fear of fate. Fate, right? Fatal, like, oh, it's going to be done and that's it and you have no choice. That's not so common. Or let's say, you go get a reading from someone and, you can see the path that like, let's say tarot cards are showing, and you're like, oh, that's it. That's done. You make no changes. You don't do anything. the other multitude of variables out there, any people involved in their decisions and their lives. There's so many variables that can alter things as well. Nothing happens, then that trajectory is likely to play out. Sometimes it's just the time span is so short that, you know, there's nothing you can do. And an example that comes up, a client of mine several years ago, she came to me for a reading and she was scared. She was scared of what might come up because of that sort of fear of facing fate. Because she only had one like psychic reading previous years before, I think when she was a teenager or something. And she said the first thing she said to me was like, you're going to hear some terrible news. And then she said after she got home from the reading, she walked in the door and her dad said to her, I have some terrible news. And a family member had passed away. That's the type of psychic insight that's actually very present. It's not actually projected out into the future to see where a relationship's going or career path is going and so on, right? So face any fear of fate you have with the power of free will, with the power of knowing you can make some changes to alter that path if that's what you choose.
And there was no one answer, no clear fate, like your future was undecided.
You may choose not and say, you know what, I need to face that in this lifetime to learn a lesson. Or you may be, just don't sit back and be like, oh, there's nothing I can do. This is what's going to happen. I'm screwed or something like that. There's always something. And sometimes knowing like, oh, I'm going to use relationship example because that's a lot of people ask about relationship. I'm in this relationship, we're on this path. It's not going to go well, and you get a reading on it and it's sort of like, things are not great. There's, secrets or deception and this and that going on. If you just sit back and be like, well, that's what it's meant for me, and you do nothing, you've surrendered yourself to fate taking over, or you're allowing it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or you could say, oh, you know what? I do want to try to work on this relationship. I'm going to make some effort to do this. I'm aware that it's on a bad path. This reading has affirmed that for me. Sometimes we just need that outside affirmation, and you may choose to try to work on it. You may choose to try to leave or whatever. But having that, knowing where the energy is headed, I think saying that way helps to realize it's not etched in stone and it's stuck there for you. Knowing where energy is headed and where it's likely to go if nothing changes can be very empowering. It may still go down that path, but at least you'll be aware of it. You'll be in some way prepared, and you'll probably be able to respond better. Or you make some bigger changes and you change the whole scenario, the energy, pathway, and trajectory, etc. So face the fear of fate. Hiding from it, often creates those self-fulfilling prophecies or those psychic fulfilling prophecies, however you want to look at it. Talk about Bruno, as in talk about the visions. And especially for, each individual for ourselves. You look at a part of your life, let's say your career, and you're like, oh, I'm in a dead-end career path. It's not going to go anywhere. You could hide from it, your vision of your career path being the Bruno. You can hide from it or hide it away and do nothing. Then that bad vision of your own is going to fulfill. Very likely. I mean, something could come out of the blue for you, right? Or you could be like, you know what? I'm going to face that. It's not what I want. I'm going to start taking the steps to make a change, whatever that might be for you. Okay, I did write down a few notes. Yeah, I think I covered everything I was going to say. Talk about Bruno, as in talk about what you yourself might see your future, where your future is headed, what you came up in a reading. Talk about it. Talk about with the reader. Not every tarot reader is, say, a spiritual counselor, but they often have excellent insights and can look at, the realm of possibilities within what's likely probable for you, as well as astrology. I always mention there's two sides to everything, you know, and I get this a lot. Things like, oh, Saturn, this and this, it's all doomed. It's not. It may take some time with Saturn, but it's not all doomed. Everything has a positive and negative side. Some may lean more one way or the other. And the other side of that is like, if you're like, hey, Jupiter thing, this is going to go great. It's going to go great for me. I'm going to sit back and do nothing. That's another way to like surrender to what you think is fate. Jupiter expansion, good luck. It often requires action. So it's sort of like being passive and expecting it all to fall in your lap. You have to take action. You have to exert your free will, which, yes, a lot of it is in the mind, making decisions, changing your view or your attitude, but then action follows. Karma means action. Action follows. So you can shift, you could say, your karmic experiences and lessons by taking action. So talk about Bruno. Talk about your visions. Talk about insights that someone has told you. Talk about what resonated with you in a totally general reading on YouTube. Talk about it, at least with yourself, if you don't have someone external to talk about it with. Face it. Don't hide away from it, and don't shove it within the walls. Okay, I think that's all I want to say. I hope this made sense. Thank you guys for being here. Share this with someone whom you think really needs it, especially if you have a friend who's like watching, 100 YouTube videos for their sign every week, every month, and clinging to especially negative messages. Yeah, so I will see you guys back here soon.